Hey, this is Aaron,
And this is Kristin.
and this is the Drive Mode Show.
How are you, dude?
I am good. It's been a little while.
I
Not
know.
too long, but it's been a little while.
Yeah, we don't get to see each other in person and often enough.
Nope. Not since Chicago, so a couple, 3 months, somewhere in there. But just as a heads up for everybody out there, we will be together at the Texas Truck Rodeo in early October.
Yeah.
So that one's like in Kristen's backyard. I think they're just doing a 4x4, some sort of, yeah. Aren't they just digging up your yard and making some kind of
Adding hills and rocks and stuff. It's hard. 20 minutes away.
So speaking of off-road, we are going to talk about a brand new pickup truck. This is Nissan's new Frontier, and we both saw it at Chicago, and we now just got done or have been driving it. So did you get the Pro 4X model?
I did.
The Pro 4X is my favorite version of the Frontier, and there are a couple things that disappoint me and a couple things that I'm really glad to see with this truck. How about you?
I agree. There's some good news, bad news, but yesterday I took it a little bit off-road when I was testing out the course for the Texas Truck Rodeo, and that's where it really shines. That's where I was like, oh, okay. This is why this truck is good, because on-road it's fine, right? But off-road it kicks butt. So should we start with the good news first?
I think we'll start with the good news. That's a good idea. How many times can we say good? Because we're like writers and professionals. We don't have a thesaurus.
It's very good. It's very, very, very good.
I actually have one editor who will immediately send something back if I use the word good anywhere.
Hardcore.
Descriptive.
Okay, so be the positive news then.
There we go.
What
the pros.
What do you like here?
The first thing that I like now that I've seen it and driven it is that it is still a rough and tumble little truck that begs you to beat it up. They didn't soften it. They didn't make it more car-like or more crossover-like or any of that. It's everything about it is still truck. So the way I've always described the Frontier is it's a trucky truck, and it is definitely that. It's very truck. The other thing that I really like is even though they kept the same frame, so the frame on this new generation is almost completely carried over from the previous one, but they did change some chassis points and a few other little things on that framing and on the chassis that are they make it more comfortable. So it rides much better on the highway, even in the Pro 4X off-road package, rides much better on the road, and it feels more responsive. So even with the heavy steering that I want in a truck, I still feel like I'm totally in control. So it's a wonderful, just kind of a compromise. Kind of they found exactly where they needed to be and they hit it. And I'm really glad for all of that.
I think that the looks are much improved over the 2021 model. I love the way the grille looks. It has much more of a squared off look instead of a punier, like triangular look in the front. It's almost like they took their bigger vehicle, the Titan, and shrunk it down. And so
But
it looks
more like they copied it. That's the thing that's great, is that they didn't just take the Titan and shrink it. The grille is actually, so it has a lot of similarity, like you're saying, because it is flat, right? But if you look at it, it's not Titan flat. It's not just dunk, dunk, there's your grille. There's movement happening there. The headlights are bigger. I would not be surprised at all to find out that the headlights on the Titan and on the Frontier might even be the same, because they're very, very large on the little Frontier. But they're proportional. They fit with the rest of what they did. They shrunk the intake below the grille, so it's not so wide. So it still runs the whole width of the front, but it's shorter, and it scoops, so it's tilted slightly this way. and then that allows the grille to be accentuated. So it's a really good look there.
Almost like you've memorized its face.
I spent a lot of time looking at it, and I took a ton of photos.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just the right size as well. I felt very comfortable driving it. It didn't feel big, uncomfortably rickety. It didn't feel like one of the big trucks that feels like felt just Goldilocks.
Yeah, very comfortable seating. If the person in the front seats isn't too tall, then a regular person will also fit in the back seats as far as adults go. But like all mid-sized and small trucks, the back seat is secondary, and it is cramped comparatively compared to a full-size truck, crew cab or not.
Yeah. Yes, and I thought that OffRoad, I really appreciate the suspension upgrades and updates they've done for 2022. I was riding with Sue Mead yesterday, who is an off-road champion for many, many years, and she was teaching me some new techniques on how to drive, and she was having me do some left foot braking while I was accelerating. We were going over a fairly rocky road, and that Frontier took it so smoothly. Like typically, if you just put your foot on the gas, it kind of goes like this, but when you put on the gas, it just slides right through. It was impressive.
It's very well done. The rear differential is a little bit different, and in video, I filmed it going down a hill where one of the wheels, front and then rear, is going to be off the ground. And what happened in that video is it comes down, and the wheel that's in the air on the back will lock, so it stops spinning, and all the power goes to the other wheel. But it doesn't happen on the front wheels, which tells me that's happening in the differential. It's not ABS or braking, controlling that like it would with all-wheel drive. So it's a wonderful setup. It has more reach than I expected. The wheels will articulate down further than I had really expected them to, and it just feels really competent and confident off the road. The new engine and transmission are great for this truck. They debuted last year in the 2021, but that 9-speed transmission is just it's a football field ahead. It's not even heads and shoulders. It's a football field length ahead of the old 6-speed they had before.
Yes, and does this have the same new transmission as the Pathfinder?
I believe it does, yes. I think the Pathfinder actually got it from this. So this is where it would have debuted, would have been last year in the 2021 Frontier.
I think between Nissan and Infiniti, they're really leaving the CVT behind, and some new engine technology, which I think is a smart move for them.
Yeah, this new engine is a little bit smaller in displacement, but it's more powerful. So it's 310 horsepower, and you feel it. It's a nice 6-cylinder engine, so the curve is nice and easy. So the power comes nice and in a very, very predictable way. So it feels really good with that. A good V6 is really hard to top.
True. You know what else I really like on the Frontier is on the 4X, the Pro 4X trim that I have, is the Fender audio system. That's really good, and I think it balances out a little bit with the road noise. A little bit of balance there, because it does have some significant road noise inside the cabin, I felt. But the Fender audio system is really good. It sounds great with different kinds of music.
Most of the road noise, I think, is the tires and the heavier metal equipment, skid plates and such that are on the Pro 4X. The interior is much more upscale than it was before. Really, really nicely done. There's some soft materials in there which should help absorb more noise. And then the bed, the working end of the truck, way improved. I don't know if you noticed this, but the wheel wells are very, very short, and they're far forward in that bed, which means that you can load things pretty easily. I put a 4x4 sheet of plywood in there, and it will sit on one wheel well and down below on the other one, so that and it's only off the ground, off the bottom of the bed by an inch or so, and it makes it much easier to use. The tie downs are well placed. It has a damping tailgate, which some others don't do for it. So they just, and this one dampens.
Oh, yeah. I think that's really important because the ones that just plop down, you're like, feels like it's off.
And then the option, one of the options with a bunch of the packages, including Pro 4X, besides that stereo system, the Fender is an upgrade option, is also the 110 outlets. So you can add 2 outlets. One is in the bed, one is up on the middle console in the back. And those have a switch. You can turn them on and off. Highly useful because I think they're about 30 amp. So you can run most things off of that as long as the engine is running.
Yeah, I'm appreciating more any vehicle that has that 110 volt outlet in the back. It's so handy. If you're camping, you're off-roading. I mean, off-roading and overlanding has become so mainstream in the last couple of years. And I think that having that really allows people to go different places and do more things with it.
Yes. So what about negatives? What were some cons that you had as far as what you think of the new Frontier?
Let's talk about the steering for a minute, because I'm curious to know what you thought. When I first started driving it, I first pulled it out of the parking spot at the airport when I picked it up, and I thought, wow, this is really heavy steering. And I get that it's a truck, but it still felt a little heavier than I would have expected. What did you think?
So I think it is heavy, but I like that. I prefer, in sporty cars, I prefer sporty steering, so I want it to be a little bit stiff. And in a truck, I want it to be stiff because it gives you the feeling of more control. So you feel like you're having to move the wheel. It's not going to move of its own accord for one reason or another. It also implies a robustness. So if you smash it into something, it's not going to jerk the wheel around. So when you're off-road, it implies a little bit of robust as far as the steering goes, the front end. But I think for some people, yes, it's going to be a little too stiff. They're not going to like that. But for me, it's part of the trucky truck thing. It's part of what makes it what it is. And I like that. I like the feel.
Along with that, I thought that the turning radius was a little wide. When you tested your
I expect any four-wheel drive vehicle to have a horrible turning radius. It usually goes with the territory because knuckles and other things have to be much thicker and more robust. And so you're not, I'm using the word robust a lot. Let's see, what's another word for robust? Brawny. Cool. So any serious off-road vehicle needs to have glue ferrigno underneath. So it needs to have lots of muscle happening on the structure. So not just the engine and stuff, the structure needs to be very, very brawny. And so on any four-wheel drive, including the Frontier with the Pro 4X, it's heavy. There's lots of additions being added. Now, I haven't driven the lower end models, so I haven't driven the SV and whatever. I haven't driven those to know whether or not that changes when you remove the four-wheel drive. I also know that in the Pro 4X, you have taller, so sidewalls are taller, and wider tires, which is also going to greatly affect the turning.
Yeah, I'm looking on the Nissan site right now for 2022, the Frontier Crew Cab, the S, which is the base model, it starts at 32,340. And then with the King Cab 4x2, it starts at 27,840. I mean, so still it's a very affordable truck. Mm-hmm. And if you need to do work that needs a truck bed, then I would say it's very practical.
One thing I was disappointed as far as the test model goes is I did not have a trailer hitch on mine, so I couldn't hook it up to anything and try towing. That I felt like I wanted to do that. I needed to test that, and I wasn't able to. Another thing is in the configurator, the accessories do not list the iconic Frontier tubular roof rails. So they have the roll bar with light bar in the back. They have those options. They still have the rocker bars with the steps on them that are also those tubes. But I couldn't see the roof rack at all on the configurator, and that's a big disappointment because that was something that you would see on the road and immediately Nissan. And I really hope that they haven't nixed that. It's just something they haven't put on their website yet. I know that having talked to Nissan directly, that this week has been the week that they have been launching the 2022 Frontier's website and the configurator and the other stuff. So it may be just some of those things haven't been put in yet. I'm really hoping that.
Yeah, it's very cool. I mean, the Nissan trucks have been around for a long time. They last a long time. My father-in-law has a 2004 first gen Titan, and he drives that all over the ranch, and it is super sturdy. It can take a lot of abuse, and I feel that way about the Frontier too.
Well, Nissan has the best warranty in the business for trucks. 5 years, and I believe it's 60,000 miles. So no other truck can touch that right now. So there you go. That's something to be said. The Frontier is still a body on frame. It is still just a really robust little truck. So I don't see any reason why anybody would assume it's going to break or have problems. It's a great design. It looks really good and it drives really well.
I feel like I could take this to the middle of the Moroccan desert and it would still shine. So little things aside that we didn't like, and I feel like those don't break the overall appeal of the Frontier. Agreed. And if you like to off-road or camp, definitely get those 110 volt outlets on yours. I feel like it has a lot of good technology, very strong engine, and capable off-roading chops in the Pro 4X trim for sure. I don't know about the base models, but I still think it's pretty sturdy.
So you can get 4x4 on pretty much every version of the Frontier. So if you buy the S model and you want 4x4, you can add that on. The only model that does not have four-wheel drive is the Pro X, which is new this year. That's a rear-wheel drive only, but that's a quasi off-road. It's an appearance package. So basically, you get all the appearance items from the Pro 4X model on that one. You just forego the four-wheel drive and the actual off-road capability. And I think it's a small, but I think there is a real market for that sort of thing. People that want that look, they like the look of the Pro 4X, but they don't necessarily want the loss in miles per gallon and other things that you get with a four-wheel drive, because the Pro 4X is heavier than all the other models. So there you go.
There you go. 2022 Nissan Frontier, the drive mode show version.
All right. That was kind of fun. I like talking about pickup trucks. Don't tell Tim. This is Aaron.
And this is Kristin.
This is the Drive Mode Show. Subscribe.